Hey everyone, it's Jason, and these are my top 3 cruise news stories from this past week. And the last story, I can't remember this ever happening before, and now it's happened twice in 1 month. Cruise story number 1, and it's celebrity cruises looking to purchase their own private island. Now, we don't know where this is going to be, and this was brought out by the new president of Celebrity Cruises, Laura Hodges-Bethke, said they couldn't provide a private island for celebrity passengers immediately, but it was her intention that Celebrity gets one of their own. Now, don't know where this is going to be located, and I thought this was kind of interesting timing because we haven't even seen Celebrity use Perfect Day at CocoCay. About 3 weeks ago, it was announced that the Celebrity Beyond would be moving to the summer in the Caribbean from Europe, and then the Reflection would be moving to 3 and 4 day cruises and going to Perfect Day at CocoCay. So that's like an experiment. They've just started. They're going to do that next summer, and we haven't even seen what the results of that are. So there must be a outcry for a private island from Celebrity. I know when we go on it, we've been asked about, hey, would you be interested in going to a private island for Celebrity Cruises, and we've always said yes. So very interesting news. There was an interesting question here, and I do daily shorts. So this is where I get my top 3 cruise news stories every week, is I pull them from my daily shorts on cruise news. And this comment right here was basically, why don't they just use their own? Why don't they just use Royal Caribbean's? And I think long term, Perfect Day at CocoCay just does not fit within Celebrity's kind of the way they want to do business. It's going to be a more chilled, relaxed atmosphere. If you've ever been to Perfect Day at CocoCay, a lot of fun, a lot of things to do there. And I just don't see that translates to the celebrity cruisers. That's what they're looking for. And the second thing would probably be that they don't want to have that many people on the island. It's already in the article I read that it says that when Celebrity's there, they're going to be with one of the smaller royal ships. So you can tell they're already taking precautions not to be there with one of the mega ships. They kind of, their ships have a high passenger to space ratio. They have a high passenger to crew ratio on Celebrity ships. So I see that being more of a chilled, relaxed environment that they're looking for moving forward. So that would be my thoughts on why they won't be using Perfect Day at CocoCay long term. So cruise story number 2, and this one kind of goes back and forth, but the Carnival Pride canceled 48 hours before its embarkment. Then we find out about 72 hours later that they are actually going to sail, but it'll be on Monday. It'll actually be a 6-day sailing instead of a 9-day sailing. So it was kind of all over the place. And when I read some of the reports, like people were finding out as they were flying over to Europe, they were on a plane 35,000 feet in the air, finding out that their cruise was canceled. That would have to be an awful feeling. The one thing I will say about this is Carnival has reacted. I don't know if any of you guys watch John Heald's Facebook or anything like that, but he is the brand ambassador for Carnival. And really interesting how he really just deeply apologized, even though, hey, look, it's a mechanical issue. Things do happen. He had a lot of empathy out there. Apparently he was answering people, via Messenger, via text, things like that were reaching out to him on his Facebook page. I have to say, I was really impressed with how much he was involved, how much Carnival was involved, and they just jumped on this. Things do happen. We see it every day in everyday life. Things do happen, but it's really how companies react. And I know I've said this last week. I know, Carnival has really tried to up their game. I really am happy to see that they're really working hard to react better. They did it last week with the Diamond Lunch. They're doing it this week with reacting to this Carnival Pride thing. And what it is guests that are canceled, that didn't go, will receive a 100% full refund and a 100% future cruise credit as long as it's used by July 31st, 2024. So very interesting information there. And then those that are in England that decide to go, they will actually pay for their hotels. They were giving them food per diems, and they're giving them, a credit back on their cruise, and they're giving them $500 shipboard credit. So applaud Carnival for that. They really are trying to do the right thing. Would love for them to, take the next step, as we talked about last week, and curtail some of that fighting and up those fines up a little bit to really clean up that image even some more. So that's my thought on that. So cruise story number 3, and this is the Scarlet Lady hitting the pier in Miami, causing damage, and it caused so much damage that the Coast Guard had to inspect it and required them to have repairs in order for them to set sail. And I thought that was interesting because we just saw this with the Ruby Princess in San Francisco. Well, about 3 weeks ago that the Ruby Princess hit the pier. It, was 3 days that they couldn't sail. The Coast Guard had to inspect it. They had to come out and fix the hole in the side of the ship, basically, the aft of the ship. And a very similar thing, I don't think it was as big of a hole, but there was a hole there on the Scarlet Lady. So these are two things that, yes, we see cruise ships, and they've had hit piers and stuff before, but I don't think I've ever remember 2 times in less than a month that separate cruise ships have hit piers and required by the Coast Guard for them to repair the holes for them to set sail. To be able to put a hole in the side of a ship, that's a pretty major collision. You're not putting just a hole in the side of it by bumping up against the dock. It's just not happening. So that was a very interesting thing to me. I don't think I've really ever seen that, especially back to back like that, and seeing that. Now, I know San Francisco has major tides, and they can get some strong winds. Miami, not so much during the summer in the early morning. Yes, you can get some afternoon thunder showers, 50, 60 mile an hour winds in the inlets, and it gets a little testy out there on those. I've been in those season winds before, and they're not fun. So those are my top 3 cruise news stories of the past week. Was there anything that I missed? Was there a story I missed that you felt was one of the top 3 cruise news stories? Would love to hear from you guys. I appreciate you watching. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye now.